Hey guys, so I have got a story to share with you guys. So, I've got to tell you about this thing that happened a while back. You know how sometimes you just have that gut feeling about a place? Well, that's exactly how I felt about the old house next door. I moved into my new apartment about a year ago, and the first thing I noticed was the abandoned house. It was a creepy old Victorian with peeling paint and overgrown weeds. Everyone in the neighborhood seemed to avoid it like the plague. I figured it was just one of those places where bad things happened, you know. One night, I was binge watching a show and I noticed something weird out of the corner of my eye. The lights in the old house flickered on. It was pitch black for months and suddenly there were lights. Naturally, my curiosity got the better of me. I grabbed my phone and decided to take a closer look. As I walked up to the front gate, I noticed that the door was slightly ajar. My heart was pounding, but I convinced myself it was just a neighbor checking on the place or something. I knocked, and to my surprise, the door creaked open. "Hello?" I called out, but all I heard was the sound of the wind rustling through the trees. Feeling a mix of thrill and dread, I stepped inside. The air was stale and I could barely see anything in the dim light. It was like stepping into a time capsule, furniture covered in white sheets, dust everywhere, and an unsettling silence. I wandered through the living room, my phone flashlight casting long shadows. That's when I noticed something odd, a series of framed pictures on the wall. They looked old, faded, and kind of creepy. They were all portraits of a family that looked off. Their smiles didn't reach their eyes. I felt this chill creep up my spine. Suddenly I heard a noise from the back of the house, a soft thud like something heavy being dropped. My instincts screamed at me to leave, but my curiosity pushed me forward. I took a deep breath and made my way to the back, where I found a door that led to the basement. Now I know it was a bad idea, but I just had to see what was down there. The stairs creaked under my weight, and with each step, I felt more uneasy. When I reached the bottom, I shined my light around, and that's when I saw it. A huge old trunk sitting in the corner, covered in dust and cobwebs. I approached it, my heart racing. I knelt down and slowly opened the lid. Inside there were some old clothes, but buried beneath them was something wrapped in burlap. I pulled it out, and as I unwrapped it, I realized it was a doll, a porcelain doll with cracked skin and hollow eyes. It looked so lifelike, and honestly, it felt like it was staring right through me. That's when I heard the door slam shut behind me. I jumped up, panic rising in my chest. I rushed back to the stairs, but as I reached for the handle, it wouldn't budge. I was trapped. The air felt heavy, and I started to hear whispers, soft, unintelligible murmurs coming from the shadows. I pressed my ear against the door, trying to hear better, and that's when I felt a cold hand on my shoulder. I spun around, but no one was there. I could see the outline of a figure in the darkness, but it was gone as quickly as it appeared. Finally, in a moment of sheer panic, I started banging on the door, yelling for help. After what felt like an eternity, the door suddenly swung open. I stumbled out, breathless and terrified. The neighbor from across the street stood there, looking worried. "What happened? I heard yelling," he said. I didn't even know how to explain it, so I just said I got locked in. I never mentioned the whispers or the figure. After that night, I couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong with that house. I told my friends about it, and they just laughed it off, saying I was being dramatic. But then a few weeks later, I saw a moving truck pull up to the old house. A new family was moving in. I felt a mix of dread and curiosity. The first time I met them, I couldn't help but notice how they all seemed a little off. They smiled too much, like they were hiding something. And their kids, they played outside all day, but I swear I never heard them laugh or talk, just that eerie silence. A month later, I was out running errands when I noticed the lights in their house flickering. Just like before, my stomach dropped. I tried to shake it off, but I couldn't. I knew I had to go back, so I returned to the house after dark. When I got there, it was silent. I peered in through the windows and saw the family gathered around the dining table, but it looked wrong. They were just sitting there, staring at something in the middle of the table. My gut told me I shouldn't be there, but I had to know what was going on. I knocked on the door, and it swung open like it was waiting for me. They all turned to look at me, their smiles stretched unnaturally wide. "Come in. We were just waiting for you," one of them said. his voice too cheerful. I backed away slowly, but they stepped closer, their smiles turning sinister. That's when I turned and ran, not stopping until I got back to my apartment. I still see them sometimes watching from the windows, those same lifeless smiles. It's been months, but I can't shake the feeling that whatever is happening in that house next door isn't over. And honestly, I don't think I'll ever feel safe there again.